across, or we can cross now live to Kyiv, talk to our Ukraine correspondent Gulliver Cragg, who joins us from there. Gulliver, an awful lot of pressure then going into this meeting there on those European leaders.
Well, yes, but at the same time, I think this meeting is only at the level of ambassadors, and Olga Stefanishyna, the Ukrainian Deputy Prime Minister who's in charge of Euro-Atlantic integration, was playing down expectations yesterday evening when journalists asked her about it. She said rather laconically, in response to the question, what can we expect? She said, well, we can expect the usual expressions of deep concern, I suppose. Ukraine, ever frustrated by its allies' reluctance to act more swiftly and more decisively when things like this happen. She went on, Olga Stefanishyna, though, to say that it was very important to have this meeting in order to put on the table all the information that the various partners have got and discuss their analysis of the situation. This, of course, all in reference to the new missile that Russia fired last week at Ukraine, an intermediate range hypersonic ballistic missile, the biggest thing they've ever fired at Ukraine, in which the Foreign Minister, Andriy Sybiga, said a few days ago was clearly a major escalation, and that's why Ukraine requested this emergency meeting. As the dust had settled on that, though, an analysis of what the missile exactly was and what it did has emerged. It seems that it's not even clear whether it carried any warheads at all. Certainly didn't carry nuclear warheads, though it could, but it's not the only missile that Russia fires at Ukraine that could carry nuclear warheads. It seems also that it wasn't actually very new. It's just a modification of a missile that Russia already has, is known to have, and doesn't have in large quantities. They're both very expensive and they don't have a lot of them. So it's unlikely that Russia is going to start now regularly firing missiles of this type at Ukraine. So I think the Ukrainian side will also be trying to hammer the point to its allies that this was also, at least in part, a response by Putin to the fact that he's always threatening to escalate when the Ukrainians or their allies cross what he deems to be his red lines, threatening some kind of retaliation. And thus far, he almost never has. You know, there was nothing new from the Russians after the Ukrainians marched into Kursk region, for example, in Russia last August. And so he perhaps felt he had to do something, but when it comes down to it, he didn't actually do all that much. And so the Ukrainians will be saying here, they are clearly just trying to scare you into not giving us more help, and we need more help. What they're particularly asking for at the moment is more air defense systems.
Yeah, meanwhile, as you say there, that those vitally needed, Gulliver, we've been hearing about 188 drones, a record number, launched into Ukraine. Very much the air raid sirens going off in Kyiv once again.
Yes, I mean, it's the exception rather than the rule these days when we have a night without air raid sirens. Around 10 drones were shot down over Kyiv without doing any damage, according to the Ukrainian Air Force. But Kyiv, of course, is probably the best protected city in Ukraine by the air defences. Other places don't have such capacity, and Dnipro in western Ukraine was very badly affected overnight, with some kind of part of the electricity infrastructure there taken out, blackouts across the city.
Gulliver, thanks very much. Gulliver Cragg, our Ukraine correspondent, joining us there from Kyiv.